so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4. Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's relish these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
This is My Michigan TV. Around here, we just call it My.
Streaming show. Documentarians and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the Megacast weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, and streaming on mymytv.com. Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Oh, yeah, at Oakland.
We're having technical difficulties. We're not hearing you right now.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we were grateful for great, but
Let's relish these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Wake up, Greater West Bloomfield. Start your mornings with The Splash and tune in for The Splash Live. Get acquainted with people, places, and activities that are live, local, and for you. First thing in the morning, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. on our Civic Center TV YouTube page, or watch us live at Civic Center TV or on Facebook. The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live update show.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12th, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28th, 2023. Go to michiganweek.org for details.
Welcome to the Megacast, our live, local, 5 days a week TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Keith. Learn more about our program by visiting our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations and find our full shows and each individual interview on demand. civiccentertv.com/megacast is the place to go. We have a packed show on today's edition of the program, so if you're looking for today's biggest headlines, go over to our local news page, and in the meantime, we'll get right into it today. Joining us now is Laura Clyde, the Children's Program Director at Grace Centers of Hope. Laura, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. We've had plenty of people on before to talk about different programs at Grace Centers of Hope, so we're familiar with a bit of what you do. But for those who have never heard of Grace Centers of Hope, tell us about the organization at large, and then give us a little bit of information on the children's program.
Yeah, so Grace Centers of Hope serves populations of people who have struggled with homelessness, addiction, and abuse. We do have a 1-year life skills program that offers shelter, meals 3 times a day, as well as classes that they'll take and case management. So while moms and parents are working on sort of getting their feet back in play, we have a free childcare center called Hands of Hope that's just across the parking lot from our Women and Children's Center. So moms can drop off their kids and get free childcare. We offer academic support. We offer social and emotional learning, and we just have an awesome staff that loves on our kids and gives them that consistency and stability that they may not have had before.
And so when kids are going through that program, is it typically because of something in their life that requires some additional help, or is it in partnership sort of with what's going on in the main building of Grace Centers of Hope, particularly with, I would assume, their parents?
Yeah, so our kids come to us with their parent. So when their parent comes into the program, they will often bring their child. Sometimes we have moms or dads that have full custody of their children. Sometimes they're working on getting that full custody back. So some kids we do have part-time, but the kids do come in with the parents. And so they are with us at Hands of Hope if they are within the Grace Centers of Hope community, whether that's in the 1-year life skills program or in our aftercare program that takes place after that 1 year, where they can rent a home in one of our 56 houses in the community.
And so, Laura, as this program is going on, these kids are in this program. I would imagine, especially for the younger kids, it's tough for them to understand exactly what's going on with their parents and why they're in this new facility with all these different people that they, I would assume, also have not met before. How do you bridge that gap with these kids and get them to both understand where they're at, why they're there, but also engage them in those things that they need as kids, like education and playtime and socialization?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is a huge challenge, when you have a kid that's been moving around their whole life and they really haven't had that stability. So the first thing that we try to provide for them is to make sure that their basic needs are met. So that means food, clothing, shelter. They're not going to trust us until they feel safe and their needs are met first. So once they kind of get to that spot, that's when we want to sort of nurture their emotional needs, and we give them love, honestly, just by having our staff talk to them and talk through tough situations. We deal with a lot of behavioral challenges with our kids here because they're angry or they're hurt or don't really know how to process emotions. So a lot of our job is teaching them, what are you feeling? What do you need right now? And how do you communicate that so that it's not coming out behaviorally?
We're joined by Laura Clyde on today's edition of the Megacast. She is the Children's Programs Director at Grace Centers of Hope. You can learn more information about Grace Centers of Hope, including their children's program, by visiting gracecentersofhope.org or by calling them 1-855-HELP-GCH, 1-855-435-7424, and ask about their children's program. Laura, these programs are great for these kids and to give them a little bit of stability while their parents are trying to find some stability in their life as well, and all those other things we talked about, like socialization, recreation, education, all those things. But this takes a lot of community support, like everything does at Grace Centers of Hope or with other nonprofits as well. And so you have an upcoming event. The Night of Hope Gala is going to be happening actually tomorrow on Friday, November 18th at the Townsend Hotel in Birmingham. Is there still ability for people to participate in this event tomorrow night?
Yes, there are still tickets available. There are very few. Our ticket sales have really gone up recently. So if people want to go to gracecentersofhope.org, they can get tickets there. Tickets are about $150 each, but it'll be an awesome night. So I definitely would recommend joining.
Yeah, more information can be found gracecentersofhope.org/night-of-hope, or just click on their Night of Hope link at the top of their page, gracecentersofhope.org. Registration begins at 6 p.m. With cocktails and hors d'oeuvres at 6:30. The program is at 7 o'clock, and all the festivities run until about 9 o'clock. Again, that's at the Townsend Hotel in Birmingham. More information and to purchase tickets at gracecentersofhope.org. Laura, we know about you tell us about some of the work that you do and overall what happens in the children's programs at Grace Centers of Hope. What sort of support is needed from the community to make these programs possible and to make these programs continue to run as people come in and out of the systems at Grace Centers of Hope?
Yeah, we rely on our community to be able to run and to be able to do what we do. One of the biggest things people can do is volunteer. You can volunteer at any of our departments here at Grace Centers of Hope, but definitely in our children's program, we have volunteers that will come in and hop into the classrooms. Our kids just love to play. So even just having somebody hop in and get down at their level and play with them and talk to them in a way that maybe they haven't been talked to before is a really, really huge deal. Another thing that, of course, we rely on is donations. So that can be a monetary donation, but we also take donations of diapers and wipes because that's something that we do try to provide for each of our families here. And here in our daycare, we do mow through diapers really quickly with all the kids that we have. So we do take donations of clothing, formula, any types of items that, you might think a kid needs. We do take those types of things as well. But even just attending an event like Night of Hope is supporting our children's program because all of those proceeds are going to go towards Hands of Hope.
More information, again, can be found on all the programs at Grace Centers of Hope at gracecentersofhope.org. You can also go and learn more information about their children's program on the website too, or call 1-855-HELP-GCH, 1-855-435-7424, and ask about their children's programs. And one more time, their Night of Hope Gala is tomorrow night, Friday, November 18th at the Townsend Hotel in Birmingham. More information can be found, again, gracecentersofhope.org. Purchase tickets and find out all the fun stuff that will be happening at this gala that also all goes to send proceeds to support the children's program at Grace Centers of Hope. Laura, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You as well. Friday, November 18th, 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. at the Townsend Hotel in Birmingham. You can purchase your tickets to their Night of Hope Gala and support the Grace Centers of Hope children's programs by visiting gracecentersofhope.org. We'll continue on. We'll stay right here. No breaks in the first couple segments of today's program. As I said earlier, we have a packed show today. So now we'll bring in Carrie Krawick from the Birmingham Maple Clinic. It's time for our weekly mental health discussion with Carrie Krawick. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you as always for having me.
Appreciate having you on, Carrie. And today we're talking about a very interesting topic that affects both parents and kids. And in particular, it's how those behaviors move on from parents down to their kids and affect their lives and certainly their mental health as well. And there's a new buzz term or a TikTok hashtag, almond mom. Define that for us and tell us some of the pitfalls of being a quote unquote almond mom, particularly for those kids.
Sure. Almond mom comes from a somewhat extreme case of celebrities where a mother who's a runway model, Yolanda Hadid, and her children who are also runway models, where Gigi during her adolescence was saying, Mom, I don't feel good. I'm shaky. I'm hungry, whatever it is. And her mom says, just go eat a few almonds, like this advice that, of course, any person who was concerned with healthy weight and diet and more than just appearance, and of course, in their case, their careers, would not advise their kid to just eat a few almonds. So that's where the term comes from. But the idea that's really shed attention is that in some ways as parents, we can subtly or very overtly put our own anxieties and insecurities about our weight onto our children, and in turn maybe create the presence of eating disorders.
Yeah, and it's really important too to think about the way that social media is also affecting these kids today, particularly when it comes to body image also. And so that's also playing a factor. When you have your parents and their behaviors also playing a role in that, it can cause a number of different mental health effects and lead to several conditions that are both physical and mental going forward. So for parents, where should they be taking those steps back and thinking about the way that their behaviors might be impacting their kids and whether or not what they're doing or what they're suggesting could potentially be dangerous or at the very least harmful to their kids' mental health?
Sure. And I think it's probably a thing that's gone on longer. It certainly predates social media. My own mother grew up in a time where the icons were the model Twiggy and the singer Karen Carpenter, who ultimately succumbed to her own eating disorder issues. So it's not necessarily a new thing. And I think even probably well-meaning parents, something I hear all the time, even in my work, maybe a household with two siblings and one is naturally fit or thin, and maybe one carries their body weight in a different way. And a parent may allow one kid to indulge and have extra or whatever and restrict the other. Here, you can have the SpaghettiOs and you have to have rice cakes. And the kids are left, but neither kid feels good about that situation. It feels unfair. It can cause resentment or hostility, jealousy. And it certainly, even if it was well-meaning or well-intended, can change how that person feels included and accepted by their family. And then that carries over to their life in the world.
Yeah, words and perceptions can really have a major impact on people, especially when it comes from family. And so in the case of these quote unquote almond moms, these behaviors can be, they might not seem that dangerous to them as they're particularly in them. They may seem like just benign comments or suggestions that are being made, especially in a family like the Hadid family, where the mother and her kids are all models and they're all in the same industry. But those words have severe impacts, and especially on younger people when at the most severe side of things, it can be severe depression and eating disorders, which typically among the population happen in much younger communities. Not to say that they don't happen in older populations, but 95% of eating disorders are in individuals that are 25 years old or before their age 25. You look at the statistics, 1 in 7 men, 1 in 5 women experience an eating disorder by 40. 95% of those cases are in people that are under 25. So these can have severe effects on their kids, not just mentally, but physically too.
Sure. And across their lifetime, there's a good chance next week when you're eating Thanksgiving with your family that you're sitting with at least one person who at some point in their life has had disordered eating or a really poor relationship with their own body, their self-esteem, and how it relates to food. I mean, I think one thing to keep in mind, like you said, is that sometimes our comments may seem benign or maybe even helpful and are also quite hurtful. The whole Thanksgiving setting could be quite triggering because food is all around and people are all around. So you may say to someone, wow, you look so great. And you may intend it as a compliment, and perhaps they've lost weight or gained weight. But depending on the nature of their eating disorder and the nature of their own attitudes, you may be drawing attention to the fact that they have an eating disorder, or saying something that might be somehow humiliating or embarrassing to them. And I think it's important to keep in mind, that like weight loss or weight gain, that eating disorders don't just come in one way or look like one kind of person, right? So you may be saying something to someone and really may have no idea that they are struggling with their own diet and health habits.
And it's interesting too, because we know that these sorts of things don't just suddenly happen. It's not one comment that triggers an eating disorder. It's comments over a period of time. It's developing body image issues and self-confidence issues over the course of time. And so for individuals, especially those that are starting to emerge into their own, adolescence in their teenage years, that start to have a voice, start to have stronger opinions, at what point do you suggest that they step in when they're getting these comments from a loved one, from a parent, from a friend, from some other individual in their life that is affecting them in that way? And how do you suggest they go about addressing that with someone, especially if it's having a negative effect on their body image, on their self-esteem, and certainly on their mood?
Sure. And I think one important thing to keep in mind, like you mentioned, is that it's not just self-esteem and appearance that drives eating disorders. There's a whole host of other contributing factors that may cause a person to turn to an eating disorder as a method of controlling their environment or themselves or their obsessive thoughts or whatever it may be. So sometimes the root isn't just in weight and appearance. It just happens to be the side effect of the patterns of behavior. But I think if you're getting comments, that are inappropriate, I mean, certainly advocating for yourself, and or if you're a family member that's concerned, it's not inappropriate to perhaps curiously ask someone how they're doing. Are they okay? Is there something they're struggling with? But the time and place for that should not be one, during the meal, or two, in the presence of other people, right? You and I talk about time and space so many times, but having really good boundaries, suggesting someone eat more when there's a circle of family around, maybe some you don't see all the time, and or suggesting that someone eat less in the same environment is really inappropriate. Perhaps talking to them, if you know and you're aware that they have an eating disorder, what can we do to structure this day to make it feel comfortable for you, given that food and people are going to be all around, to be supportive for healthy choices, and just be aware of the time and space they might need if they are feeling uncomfortable. Certainly talking to other people and modeling with your own actions, right? We don't talk about people's body types in this household or at the table, or we don't insist that other people eat more or less in these settings, and that those comments don't really fly here. And taking care of your family if something were to come up, to just gently guide the conversation otherwise, and touch base with the person who has those needs in a private setting, away from the attention of everybody else.
Joined by Carrie Krawick on today's edition of the Megacast, as always, our Thursday mental health talk with Carrie Krawick. You can find more of these on civiccentertv.com/megacast, and you can get more information and get in contact with Carrie and the other mental health professionals at the Birmingham Maple Clinic on their website, birminghammaple.org, or by calling them 248-646-6659, 248-646-6659. And Carrie, as you mentioned, sort of setting those boundaries, setting those ground rules for families, particularly on Thanksgiving, a holiday that tends to be very centered around food and around socialization simultaneously. It's also a good time as you're getting back together with family, sometimes in some situations for the first time in a year. And with where we've been at over the last several years, it could be the first time since 2019, 2018, beyond that these families have gotten together and seen each other in person. And so what should people be looking out for in terms of the signs behaviorally and certainly physically that someone may be undergoing an eating disorder or be in a position where potentially they could be in danger of beginning an eating disorder based on their behavior?
Sure, there's a variety of things. So of course, like we said, extreme undereating, extreme exercise, extreme restriction, and maybe even like some things are actually kind of subtle. If you have a adolescent or young adult and they say, I'm a vegetarian or something, and this is a new development, but then they're only eating lettuce and celery, that might be a sign, right? That they're sort of using this cloak of like, this is how I'm restricting myself to sneak in with some very harmful behaviors. Again, frequent excusing yourself from the table while others are eating, kind of habitually moving around your food, but not really eating it, just kind of, playing with the food on the plate, coming up with excuses or reasons why not to be present at the table while others are eating. Obviously changes in weight gain, severe weight loss, and not carrying weight that's 100% of what you would expect a person of that age or stage. If you're sort of like 85% of what normal weight is, then you're definitely in the danger range of anorexia. Any kind of frequent bathroom trips, that might suggest a person is binging or purging or using other, medicines and laxatives, would all be signs of someone that has an eating disorder.
Again, we're joined by Carrie Krawick from Birmingham Maple Clinic on today's edition of the MegaCast. You can find more information and, of course, get in contact with them as well. BirminghamMaple.org, 248-646-6659, and by email, info@birminghammaple.org, info@birminghammaple.org. And for parents, especially if they're noticing these changes in behaviors in their kids and they're noticing some of these signs that we just talked about, what steps can they take to get their kid in the proper treatment that they may need, both mental health but also physical, to treat an eating disorder and change those behaviors to something that's not going to be so dangerous as an eating disorder can be for so many people?
Sure, absolutely. Getting treatment from a trained professional, and the treatment for eating disorders is multidisciplinary. So it covers, like you said, both the medical side, nutrition, dietitians, and frequent, weighing and kind of monitoring the nutritional content, as well as therapy and addressing the underlying causes. Certainly, families could get involved. Like you said, even well-meaning parents may inadvertently exacerbate the issue through their own anxiety or guilt or discomfort with the topic, and family therapy or individual therapy for the parents to really guide them on how to approach their child from an emotionally rational and kind of reasonable way, and to not project any undue feelings, hurt, anger, on their child, shame, those things that are really just going to exacerbate the problem. Anything that's going to become like sort of a power and control dynamic between parent and child would certainly be observed. I think, like we're talking about Thanksgiving a bit, and there's just all these harmless things that we think are seemingly harmless, but we just don't know the effect. You may get up from dinner and say, oh my God, I'm so huge, or I need to go on a diet after today. And whether or not a person has an active eating disorder, there's probably someone at your table who has or has kind of dabbled in inappropriate eating behaviors in their lifetime. And to just be aware that those comments really don't serve anyone, and perhaps something more gentle like, hey, like, does anyone want to go take a walk? And just like let's move from the dinner table and take a walk outside and just enjoy each other's company. You don't necessarily have to broadcast your own insecurities about what you've eaten to the table, because it may be funny or seem like a non-issue to you, but it may impact someone else very seriously.
Well, Carrie, we appreciate you joining us and talking more about this. It's important we have this sort of conversation because as we've talked about throughout the last several minutes, these are things that often do go unnoticed until they are noticed, until they are a problem. And at that point, it's a lot to unpack. It is multidisciplinary, as you said, and it's a long way out from an eating disorder, and to refocus some of these behaviors and reform really a relationship with food and with socialization in many of these ways. So we appreciate you telling us more about this. Anything else that we should be considering on this particular topic over the next couple weeks or as we go forward before we let you go today?
I think just having that awareness, I think there's probably lots of ways we've all grown up, again, talking about our own bodies, our own relationship with food, talking about other people's. There's so many things we've learned to kind of, consider as sort of like PC or appropriate in social settings. And perhaps our bodies have not yet risen to that level. And to just be monitor and aware of how do you talk and think about your own body and others? What are you hearing other people say? And is there a way to be the change you seek, right? Like to not comment, say even in a kind way of, wow, you look great or you've lost so much weight, but maybe refocus. What kind of compliments can you give other people that don't touch into that, and see what you notice in other people as you start to make those shifts.
It's always good to be observant, but also to err on the side of kindness. It's better to just not say some things at all than to take that risk. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
BirminghamMaple.org is their website, and you can also, .com, BirminghamMaple.com is their website. You can also call them 248-646-6659 for more information and consultation. You can also send them an email, info@BirminghamMaple.com. We'll take a break on the Megacast. On the other side, it is that time of the year for open enrollment for Medicare and other insurance options. Joining us after the break is Elizabeth Robinson from HAP Medicare Sales and Outreach. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Wake up, Greater West Bloomfield. Start your mornings with The Splash and tune in for The Splash Live. Get acquainted with people, places, and activities that are live, local, and for you. First thing in the morning, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. on our Civic Center TV YouTube page, or watch us live at Civic Center TV or on Facebook. The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live update show.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Keith. You can learn more about our program and find all of our full episodes and each individual interview on demand, civiccentertv.com/megacast, and it includes, as I said, all of our partnering TV, radio, and streaming networks can be found there as well. You click on those links, you go to their website, learn more about their original programming, find us live to tape and replayed throughout the afternoons and over the weekends as well. All of that information is on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. It is that time of the year where if you're looking for a new insurance program or you're transitioning over to Medicare, and it's time for your open enrollment period and getting more information on the options that you have, and also signing up, of course, to keep yourself and your healthcare in check here in the U.S. and especially right here in Michigan. Joining us to talk about that and more now is Elizabeth Robinson, Medicare Outreach Developer at HAP Medicare Sales and Outreach. Elizabeth, thank you for being with us today.
Hi, Tyler. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, good to have you on as well. So this is the beginning of a Medicare open enrollment period. There's plenty of options out there for many people, but I don't think there's quite wide knowledge of what an open enrollment period is. For so many people, their insurance might be through their employer and they may already have that established. at this time. But employment changes, people move, circumstances change, people retire, and at some point, many end up having to take their insurance situation into their own hands. So tell us about what an open enrollment period is and why that's necessary for insurers.
Sure. So all different types of insurance have an enrollment period that happens annually, and that's what's commonly referred to as open enrollment. So whether you have an individual and family plan like under the Affordable Care Act, or whether you have an employer-based plan that's given to you as a full-time employee or your spouse is an employee, and that's a full-time benefit as that employer gives that to you, or whether or not you have Medicare, there's always a time every year where you get the chance to reevaluate what you have and compare to what's also being offered to you and make a change or re-enroll for the next year, for the next 12-month period. For many employer groups, for the individual market and for Medicare market, that happens on a calendar year basis. So right now we are in the middle of the annual enrollment period for Medicare. A lot of people refer to it as open enrollment. It kind of means the same thing for most people. That runs from October 15th through December 7th of every year. And this is the time where everyone who currently has Medicare is encouraged to reshop and reevaluate what they have versus what's available to them to see if they want to make a change for the next year. So any enrollment or any changes that take place at this time between now and December 7th, literally 11:59 p.m. on December 7th, is what will stand in Medicare system for their enrollment for next year's coverage.
More information can be found from HAP on the website hap.org. Hap.org for more information, Medicare, individual and family plans, insurance through your employer, as well as Medicaid and the Michigan Health Link as well. Hap.org for all of that information. And so we talk about having all these different options for our healthcare, and during this open enrollment period, it's a great time to explore some of those options and maybe exercise one of those options with HAP or with another healthcare provider as well. From your organization's perspective, what work goes into working with individuals, with families, with employers on which plans are best suited for their situations and their needs?
Absolutely. I cannot stress enough, especially in the Medicare market and the individual market, for people who are looking to make their own choices, their own selections about their healthcare, as opposed to what's being offered to them by the employer, because that usually limits the amount of choices that you have. When you are working as an individual, you have the entire market to choose from, and it can be daunting and really confusing and somewhat overwhelming to kind of compare everything and be able to whittle it down to what best fits your needs. I cannot stress enough the importance of finding a trusted local agent to work with. HAP has many agents in the area that we work with that are trusted, that we recommend working with and can refer out to. We also have a department of agents internally that can answer questions when you call our lines, whether that's, again, on the individual market or in the Medicare market. So we're here to answer questions for you, but we're also here to make an introduction to a local agent. I cannot stress enough how important it is to not fall victim to the really heavy marketing that happens because it's such a competitive market, especially for Medicare. There's a lot of really aggressive advertising and marketing that happens at this time of year, especially with all of the commercials that you see on TV and, hey, call this number and get free this and free that. It can be really enticing, but the people that are answering those phone calls when someone sees that commercial and calls that phone number, they're getting someone on the other line whose job it is to move that person to the plan that they are selling. So it's really important to work with an agent who can help you look at what's important to you, what your needs are, and fit the right plan to those needs.
What should people be considering, Elizabeth, as they're going through this enrollment period, as they're exploring their options with providers like you or other healthcare providers? And what questions really should they be asking to really determine if this plan or that plan, if this provider or that provider is actually what's best for myself, for my family, for my employees?
That's a really great question. And there are some really specific questions that every person as an individual that you should be thinking of ahead of time before you walk into a conversation, whether it be with a carrier, whether it be with an agent or whether you do the research online yourself by going to the different carriers' websites and looking at things, or if you go to Medicare.gov and look at all of the plans that are available to you in your area because they're all listed there, or that if you go to the marketplace, if you're in the individual market, there are certain questions that you definitely want to take a look at. You want to make sure that the doctors and the health systems that you want access to are in network for the plan that you are selecting. There's different types of networks, there's different types of plans that are available. So you want to make sure that you're choosing the plan that gives you access to the providers and facilities that you want. Also to take in mind whether or not you travel and want coverage outside of the area where you live. So taking into the network is really important. The next thing you want to really take a look at is your prescription coverage. You want to make sure that the prescriptions that you take and that you need are covered on the plan that you are looking at. Especially in the Medicare market, formulary lists can change from year to year. They can even change within the year. So there can be that movement, and you want to make sure that not only is it covered, but am I getting the best out-of-pocket rate for those prescriptions. So you want to be able to compare your prescriptions on one plan to another. Another thing that's really important is you want to take a look at, is it important to you to have dental coverage, to have vision or hearing coverage, those added value benefits that come along with some of the individual market plans? You want to make sure that you're taking a look at that and taking that into consideration as far as the whole package goes. The other thing that I would really stress too is keep in mind whether or not you have any changes in your health or health care needs that you know that you can anticipate in the next year. So someone who might say, you know what, I've been putting this off, but I need to have a joint replacement. I really need to have that done in the next year. Or I just got a new diagnosis of something, and so now I have to go through treatment. Or I know that my health is deteriorating in this way, so I'm expecting that I'm going to have to deal with that with either treatment or surgery or something to that extent. So taking into account those changes that might be coming into play for you as well, that can really change how much out-of-pocket experience you have, how much you have to pay out of your pocket for your medical services during the calendar year. So that could impact choosing a plan that has a higher or a lower out-of-pocket maximum, or higher or lower copays for physical therapy, or something along those lines. So taking into account those questions, the network, the prescriptions, the added value benefits, and any upcoming changes to your medical status that you know that you can anticipate, those are really going to help guide you in making the right decisions about what's going to fit your needs for the next year.
We're joined by Elizabeth Robinson, Medicare Outreach Developer at HAP Medicare Sales and Outreach, on today's edition of the Megacast. As always, you can find more information from HAP and get in contact with their team there at hap.org. hap.org for more information and to get in contact with all the individuals over at their organization. You can also give them a call for provider inquiries, 866-766-4661. That's 866-766-4661 as well. Elizabeth, before we let you go, anything else that people should be considering right now at this time as they're entering the open enrollment period, as they're considering maybe changing their insurance or getting new insurance due to a life change of some sort?
Sure. I would just really warn you, be careful of the aggressive marketing that you see. Try not to answer unsolicited phone calls. And again, I cannot stress enough the importance of working with a trusted agent. We have many that we can recommend in the area, so we'd be happy to make that connection for you. Calling the carriers directly is also a really great resource. So calling HAP and seeing how we can answer the questions that you have about your situation. Like I said, we have staff that can handle questions on the individual market as well as the Medicare market. You would have to go to Michigan, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling with my words. HealthLink, Michigan HealthLink for the Medicaid side of life, but we do have a whole variety of plans that are available. If you are an employer and looking at considering different options for next year, we do have an entire great staff of account managers who can connect with you also. So we've really got any form of healthcare we've got you covered, with options that can really bring value to your benefit structure. So it's just a matter of comparing that with what you have versus what else is available in the market. So we're happy to help, and please be careful of the ads that are out there.
HAP.org for more information to get in contact with Elizabeth and the team at Health Alliance Plan. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's been great to be here, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful holiday season.
You as well, Elizabeth. HAP.org for more info. We'll take a break now on the Megacast. On the other side, we'll be joined by a couple of individuals from the Farmington Players. And other upcoming season of shows is ahead. The Games Afoot, or Homes for the Holidays, coming up early December at the Farmington Players. You'll learn more information about those shows coming up next on the Megacast.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12th, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28th, 2023. Go to MichiganWeek.org for details.
I'm feeling good. Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
My Michigan TV is streaming everywhere on Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, and more smart TV apps. My Michigan TV is on your phone too. Take us with you wherever you go. Just search for My Michigan TV on your favorite app store or visit mymitv.com. All Michigan, streaming everywhere. My Michigan TV.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the Megacast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the Megacast weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, and streaming on mymytv.com. Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Wake up, Greater West Bloomfield. Start your mornings with The Splash and tune in for The Splash Live. Get acquainted with people, places, and activities that are live, local, and for you. First thing in the morning, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. on our Civic Center TV YouTube page, or watch us live at Civic Center TV or on Facebook. The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live update show.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full programs and each individual interview on demand. civiccentertv.com/megacast. Oh, just around the corner, we'll be in the month of December, and kicking off the month of December at the Farmington Players will be a production of The Games Afoot, or Homes for the Holidays. Joining us now on the program to talk about this production is Cynthia Tupper, the director of the show, as well as actor Jim Mole. Thank you both for being with us today.
Thanks,
Thank
Tyler.
you for having us.
Appreciate having you both on. Let's start with you, Cynthia. Tell us a little bit about this play and what people can expect to see when they head to the Farmington Players in early December for the opening shows.
Well, this is a really fun show for the holidays. It's pure escapism. It's not per se really a Christmas show, but it's set at Christmas time. And it's set in 1936 in the home of William Gillette, who was a real person. He was a stage actor that was very famous in his day. And he was the one that brought Sherlock Holmes into favor and wrote the first play about Sherlock Holmes with the permission of the author. And it was a huge success. And so the author, Ken Ludwig, of this show loves that time period. It's an Art Deco time period. The set is Art Deco. The costumes are very glamorous. It's all set in that glamorous time period. And a murder happens during the evening at his home on Christmas Eve. And an attempted murder had happened previously. So he's trying to solve the case. And the person, William Gillette, also is so bonded with his character of Holmes that they're almost interchangeable, and he goes back and forth between being Holmes and Gillette. And that's the part that Jim plays, which is the main role of the show.
More information can be found, including showtimes and purchasing tickets, at farmingtonplayers.org. farmingtonplayers.org. Also joining us is one of the actors from this performance. It's going to be Jim Mole with us on today's Megacast. Jim, tell us about your character and what it's been like for you to prepare for this holiday show that's also got some comedy in it.
Yeah. Hi, Tyler. It's my role is a great role. William Gillette, as Cynthia was saying, was a real guy and had this kind of strange alter ego with Sherlock Holmes. So the way Cynthia has staged it and has us acting it is she's brought in the transatlantic accent, which you're familiar with if you watch old movies from the 30s. So we're all striving to have that sort of an accent and that sort of presentation during the show. And again, it's a really interesting script because it goes back and forth between being a murder mystery, but also a comedy, and there's a lot of sight comedy involved. And so folks will have a really good time when they come to the theater, I think. The Farmington Barn's a wonderful place to be an actor. I've done a number of shows there, a few of them that Cynthia has directed as well. And there's 200 some odd seats in the house, and there's not a bad seat in the house. So anybody who comes will have a wonderful experience, I think.
Again, more information can be found on farmingtonplayers.org. Their opening weekend of shows begins Friday, December 2nd, and runs through Sunday, December 4th. Evening shows at 8 p.m. on that Friday the 2nd and Saturday the 3rd, matinee at 2 p.m. on Sunday the 4th. That's not their only times, though. They also will have the next weekend over, Friday the 9th of December through Sunday the 11th. Same show times on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday and Saturday, 8 p.m. Sunday, 2 p.m. The next week over, it begins on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all at 8 p.m. show times on December 15th, 16th, and 17th. Again, more information can be found at farmingtonplayers.org. Cynthia, going back to you as the director of the show, having to kind of switch between that interesting dynamic of murder mystery and comedy can be a little bit of a tough change, especially a quick change for actors when those scenes go one way versus another. How do you as a director help your cast prepare for those situations and craft them in a way that's entertaining and not too jarring of a transition between one setting and the other?
Well, we go back to the movies of that time, and there were a lot of screwball comedies during the 30s. And so we're using that as our inspiration to really be accurate to the time. And there's really nothing more funny than elegant people doing physical comedy. And just, you think about Cary Grant and people like that, Katharine Hepburn, they were all very elegant people, but they were doing crazy things on screen. And so Ken Ludwig just loves this time period. And he set many of his plays in this time period. So we're really trying to be true to that. And the actors just have to believe in those characters. And we've done a lot of work on the physical comedy of this, and even had someone help us because there is some interesting things that happen. I don't want to give anything away, but we have a what we call a fight choreographer that helped us with some of this stuff, because it looks pretty difficult when you're doing it. And you've got to be doing it right and safely. So this was a huge acting challenge for all the actors.
And let's follow up on that with you, Jim. Tell us about navigating that challenge from going from, as Cynthia said, more of a screwball comedy setting, very 40s movies like comedy, into a murder mystery, and then back and forth in between, all the while doing that in a stage play.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is as an actor, you don't ever play the comedy. You just play the script. And the way that Ludwig has written this is that as you play it, if you play it straight and you let the lines and the script do its work, it'll be funny. If you try to be funny, you're going to get in the way. And so as an actor, I think our challenge is to simply take the words, be convincing, and as Cynthia says, believe in the character. If it's a real person saying real words and the words are funny, the audience will laugh. If you try to get ahead of that and you try to seed laughter, it never works. So you never try to play comedy. You play it straight and let the words do their job.
That's such great advice for those that are looking to get into acting and are trying to figure out comedy, or those that have some comedic chops to themselves, but maybe sometimes might get in their way with a little too much improv and too much forceful comedy when they're doing these sorts of shows. We're joined by Cynthia Tupper, the director, and Jim Moll, one of the actors, from the Farmington Players production of The Games Afoot, or Homes for the Holidays, which begins December 2nd at the Farmington Players. More information and purchase tickets, farmingtonplayers.org. Before we let you two go, I'm going to give you each an opportunity to speak one more time. Cynthia, let's start with you. Why should people be interested in seeing this story and take time out of their busy schedule to go see this play as they kick off the middle part of the holiday season at the beginning of December?
Well, I think this is just perfect escape entertainment. And everybody is busy, and this is something you can come with your family and your friends and just escape and really enjoy the show. And the fun thing about it is that it's a newer show. People don't know what to expect. So there's going to be a lot of surprises, and I think that that's very rewarding for the audience to see something fresh and new that's funny and entertaining during the holidays. I think it's just, like I said, it's a really fun escape with elegant costumes. The set is worth the price of admission. We've been very accurate to the Art Deco period, and I'll give a shout out to our set designer, Phil Hadley, who adores this time period, and we've done a lot of special things, and there's a revolving set piece that happens in this show. So it's been a complicated, but it's going to be a really interesting watch for the audience. I'm sure they're going to love it.
Jim, we got about 30 seconds. Anything else you'd like to say on this show before we let you go today?
No, as Cynthia is saying, Tyler, I think we've had enough serious stuff in the world. There's a lot of stuff going on that has caused people to have to take a half step back and pause life and wait things out. So let's get back and have a nice time. The show is wonderful. It's funny. It's engaging. Folks will laugh. Folks will have a good time. And I think it's about time we all did that.
Well, we appreciate both of you being on to tell us about the show, and of course for providing us that outlet and that brief escape from the seriousness of our world today. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you, Tyler.
Cynthia Tupper and Jim Moll from the Farmington Players. You can learn more about The Games Afoot or Homes for the Holidays and go see the show by visiting farmingtonplayers.org. That will do it for today's edition of the Megacast. We'll return soon with a new episode.